Hello and welcome to the Tell Not Show. I'm Kirsha Fox, author of the Deception and Justice series. I'm a homeschooling mom, gamer, and reader. My co-host Julia J.K. Allen can't join us tonight, but our guest is Ryan Melsom. Ryan Melsom holds a PhD in literature from Queen's University and has long been fascinated with the interplay among culture, technology, spirituality, spaces, and human nature. Through the years, he has explored these topics through numerous creative media, including 2 previous works of fiction, academic writing, experimental web spaces, music projects, and a black belt in karate. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks so much,
Hi.
Kirsha.
Yes.
Nice to be here.
Wonderful. Okay, so tell us about your writing journey. You started it pretty young, right?
Yeah. So I definitely, I think I wrote a lot of bad poetry. Was probably the start of my writing journey, as I'm
Yes.
sure many people's journey begins that way. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think I've always had a fascination with, I would say, narrative. I was sort of on and off a reader. I wasn't really, like I loved film, and I think that that's sort of where, like, that's what I've really heard about my writing now is that it's very visual. It feels like you're in a movie, and it seems to suit itself well to that. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, like I said, in the bio that I sent along, I when I graduated from grad school, I decided I wrote one fairly terrible novel after my undergrad and decided that, tried to shop it around, but, thankfully no takers on that one. But after that, after I finished grad school, I went back to it. It's always been with me, and I've always journaled and all kinds of things. But I wrote a couple of novels, a little more experimental, a little kind of just playful, and playing a lot with pop culture and just some of the big things that were happening in the world at that time. So I looked at, the explosion of social media. That's around where I got my grad school, and that was just fascinating. Like everybody was trying to wrap their heads around it. So I explored that through fiction. I also looked at like the Occupy Wall Street movement and that kind of thing. I thought that was really fascinating, just the way that there were so many, such a wide variety of people that came together there. Like in other protest movements in the past, it was always like a single focus and a sort of single group, but it was just such a diverse and interesting thing. So I wrote a fairly experimental, book called No Generation that it was 96 separate narratives basically, and I called it a novel. I don't know what I don't know what it was, but anyway, but the thing that happened recently was, so then I had kids and I couldn't write for years. Like it was just, I tried, but it was just, that was a lot of work. and kudos to you, because you said 4 kids, is that right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and
Very
writing
young.
while you're doing that, I don't know how you do it. I got 2, and that's plenty. But yeah, it stuck with me, and I wanted to write again, and I just didn't know how I could kind of find the space to do that. And eventually, like, I think what it was like science fiction has always gripped me. I love like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in
Mhm.
particular from the 80s, like Running Man and Total Recall, and these ones, like those had a huge impact on me. And then like I always gulped up any science fiction I could find, but
Mhm.
usually through film. And then so like I kind of educated myself a bit, read about 20 kind of cyberpunk science fiction novels, and I was like, okay, even though like science fiction fans are pretty scary and like really particular and like will probably call me out for all the, like holes in the science or whatever, I'm like, I got to do this. I just love this genre. So like that's what I did. I wrote this book,
Mhm.
no, Gods of a New World, and that just came out in the summer. And then from there, I've actually written 3 more books that I'm still in the process of shopping. Well, I shouldn't say written 3. I wrote 2, and I have one where I have to write the ending, but I'm like, I'm not stuck on it exactly, but I'm waiting for the right moment. So anyway, that's a
Yeah.
bit about my journey. Very winding, and life was definitely a part of why I was either writing or not writing at certain points. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. I feel like the bad poetry is sort of a rite of passage for
Yeah,
young
absolutely.
writers. Like you have
All
to go through
the
that stage. You got to get it out of your system. You
my
have to
unrequited
experiment.
love and yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man.
And it's
Yeah,
it's almost therapy when you're a teenager
absolutely. It was
take
so important.
to express yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And you like, it helps you like articulate your identity, which in a really interesting way, like it
Mhm.
helps you find who you are and what you think. Like I find sometimes thoughts are just sort of this cloud of stuff until you actually try to put it into something. So
Yes. Yes, and you're not pulled into the constraints of complete sentences.
Yeah,
It can be
exactly.
just words floating around and phrases and bouncing, and there's almost a playfulness to it as a
Definitely.
teenager um of making it rhyme or making it not rhyme, or
Yeah.
yes, it's very much about
And
self-discovery. So
yeah, like even like the not rhyming thing, like, you hear poetry when you're little and it's like nursery rhymes and everything rhymes
mhm,
and that's what poetry is. And then like it's like this challenge to like break it. And I feel like when
yeah,
you break the things, then you start to, I don't know, you learn something every time you play around with stuff. So yeah.
yes.
I don't regret it, but I'm sure happy nobody ever saw
Oh
it.
goodness,
Maybe
yeah.
my mom.
Oh no, I still find it once in a while when I'm going through old papers, and I'm like, oh man, this was like the epitome of art when I was writing it. I was so proud of it. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm really glad that I didn't. Yeah,
It meant something to
sometimes
you. That's what's
the no's you get, you're not
yeah.
grateful for them at the time when you get them, but later on you're like, oh, thank goodness, no one
Yeah,
read this.
definitely. Definitely.
But it makes it so much more special when you do write a story and you're like, this
Yeah.
is it. This is
Yeah.
worth sharing. Someone
Yeah.
wants to read this.
Yeah, well, and yeah, like this is like I self-published a few things. I don't think they were like embarrassingly bad books, but they were like not super marketable books. Like they were a little too out there, and I love that I wrote them. I learned a ton about the process. But
Mhm.
yeah, like that moment when I actually got the yes letter, from my future publisher at that point, like that
Mhm.
was like I realized like that was something that had been there with me for since I was like a little kid,
Mhm.
so yeah.
That's and it's so validating, isn't it?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
want to publish my book,
the big
yes.
moment. Yeah, most
Yeah, I'm there, in the indie author trenches,
yeah,
kind of figuring out what I can do with this little fantasy series,
yeah,
um, which I feel is kind of like a sister to science fiction, it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
is it wands or is it magic or is it science, which is kind of the
Yeah, and like on
big point.
to be honest, like yeah, the two blur a fair bit more and more these days. It feels like,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Yeah, magic or science, and like it definitely in this book, Gods of a New World, like it, um, the it borders on like mysticism, right? Like when you get like
Mhm.
down to like a computer or whatever, a server, I don't know exactly what, but like when it's so intelligent that it's almost like a deity, like that changes like how it feels, right? Like it's so advanced that it feels like when it can do things and sort of create things and invent things and make these elaborate plans and unfold all this stuff into the world, like that seems like magic, I think, from a human perspective sometimes. So
Oh,
I wonder, yeah, how
absolutely.
that'll play out long term.
Oh, no, and that's such a good topic for our society, like, this year today,
Yeah,
when we're looking at issues of AI
yeah,
and its role within our society and what uses of it are ethical or not,
yeah,
and what do we do with it if it gets a little beyond us, you know? What is supposed to be a tool.
yeah,
And we've been talking about that for decades. What happens when technology outpaces us?
yeah,
And that was sort of the theme of those early Schwarzenegger movies, the
yeah,
Terminators. What do we do when the machines turn on us?
yeah,
Battlestar Galactica. What do we do when the
yeah,
machines turn
yeah,
on
yeah.
us?
This is, and
Um,
it's like, and there's always like something I really liked. Like, I didn't even know that I really liked this until I started writing it, and then I wrote a few books. I'm like, oh, that's a thing I do. But it's like,
mhm.
it's the very human being, like in the like confronted with overwhelming odds. Like, I would say, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. One thing about him, like, is that like when he was playing the hero, not the bad guy, like in Terminator, but like he was an insanely competent, almost like a superhero kind of human being, right? But like, I like to play it down a little, and like, what if like Joe Schmo, like James Kessler in this book, he's a very like he's a pretty humble character. He's seen some stuff. He's a survivor. He's a pretty amazing guy in his own right, but he's not like he doesn't have like the whatever 28-inch biceps or whatever that stuff. So yeah, I love that like little guy, and then this just massive, overwhelming historical forces, and like where do you fit in it and all that.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
feel like that kind of character is probably about more relatable.
yeah,
Like a lot
yeah,
of people in our generation, like we're still kind of finding our place because the place we thought we were going to be isn't there anymore. It doesn't
yeah,
exist.
yeah.
And so we're kind of deciding as a generation what direction we want to move in
Mhm.
and kind of it's an uphill battle. But yeah, we're just single people out there trying to make the world a better place the best way we can. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it changes so fast, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah. So sometimes it is just overwhelming. Like you just kind of want to hide. And then other times, well, I think that's like really honestly part of like why I like to write is for me now at this point, I do have kids, and like I don't want to just like surrender to the, like whatever worst things could happen in the world. Like I want to try to create a picture of the future that's like has some optimism in it. It might not be like all roses and daisies, but like it's trying to envision something that like how do we get out of this, or what do we do in the face of this, or that's a big question there. So
yeah, having kids is pretty humbling. It's
it is. It makes a lot of things matter that don't matter as much before you have them. So, yeah.
Absolutely they do. All right, so you write science fiction primarily.
Yeah.
I think we kind of already answered that second question of what drew you to that.
The other thing, like I like there's like cyberpunk as well, which is sort of like a subgenre of science fiction, and that's sort of where the more that I've thought about it, the more I've like had opportunities like this to chat with people about it. I'm like, it's kind of more like cyberpunk, because I feel like sci-fi, I love sci-fi, as I said, but like it's there's something about like the utopian kind of like braininess of sci-fi, like I like cyberpunk. It's got this like grit and like humanity right at the core of it, and a lot of science fiction does too. But like for me, like that's what's like interesting. It's like it's not just about like this technology got invented, so how does it change the world? It's much more about the people like just experiencing these things or something. So yeah, that cyberpunk, like Blade Runner, and even like the Matrix, and like some of these ones. Yeah.
The technology, the science, the advanced civilization is just sort of the background, and you're focusing on existing with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know AI experts will probably call me out for some of the stuff that that I speculate, but I was like, heck, it's fiction. Come on, lighten up.
You can do what you want. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing process? How do you go from idea to finished draft?
Yeah. So I'm actually like it's actually a fairly boring process, if I'm gonna be honest. Like so I
not as glamorous as the movies make it.
Yeah, my like
the movies have dramatic music, and you're typing away, and you're thinking, and you're drinking your cup, and then bam, finished draft that you put in your manila envelope and you mail, right?
Exactly. It's
that
just
doesn't exist. That's not like, how it is.
Yeah, like gosh, talk about humbling. But yeah, no, so okay, so Stephen King's On Writing, which I know like so many writers, that's just sort of where they finally got, this insight on like the process. But like in that book, he says, what you do is you write 1,000 words a day, and you do it for 90 days, and you have a manuscript. And so like I followed that. I very like consistently wrote every single day 1,000 words. Sometimes they were a good 1,000, sometimes they were like an embarrassingly terrible 1,000. Like it didn't matter, but it was like that consistency. And I think like the genius of that process is it's enough to keep your mind in it, to keep your head in the game, basically. Like you keep thinking about stuff, and I'm often writing before I go to bed, so I'm sure it works its way into my dreams and all kinds of like my unconscious. And so yeah, that's the general process I use. Like in terms of ideas, I like to cook them over like quite a long time. So like I'll have like just a flash of an idea, or like even just an image sometimes. And I just explore it. And then I start getting like kind of more and more interested in the ones that kind of stick, and like piling in. So like with this Gods of a New World, like one of the ideas that I had a long time ago, like maybe it feels like a long time ago. That's like pre-pandemic, but it was like this idea of like a modern day mythology. So like you take like the big forces in the world, like like Amazon and the EU, and like I don't know, the Apollo program or whatever, and you're like, and then you mythologize that. So like give it like sort of these kind of magical mythological like features. And I like that idea, but it was like I'd written a couple experimental books, and I'm like, I wanted a narrative. I wanted like a story, right? So like that was like kind of this piece that I just sort of sat there like simmering for a while. And then like after that, I think like there was the AI explosion. That was a huge thing. But then the other thing was just a genre thing where I thought like what would like cyberpunk books usually they're set like in the heart of a city and like the mean streets and there's just the guts and the grime and like it's just this really kind of seedy characters and all this stuff. And I was like, so what would cyberpunk world look like if it was just some guy in the suburbs? And so like that image just like stuck with me. And then so it starts in the suburbs and so like James, he in the novel, there's this time called the bad times, which is basically like an economic collapse. It's like society's failed, but they're past it. And they're actually like doing okay now. The world's doing better, not worse, And so like, but he suffered badly. Like his parents died in the bad times. He had to raise his little sister, like, like in a sort of like horrible environment. And so like, he just wants to like lay low. So that's how I figured like he doesn't want to be a hero. He doesn't want to be anything. He just wants to like have his job, like drink a beer on the weekend and just do nothing. Like so that's kind of where these images started to assemble themselves, and that's how I got my suburban person like who gets stuck into a cyberpunk world. And that's the process for one. I mean, but everything else that I've written, I'm like starts with an idea or some theme, and then I just start pulling together whatever. And I like to mix like very random elements that don't necessarily make sense together and see where they go.
Take those usual things and sort of turn them on their head. How can you put one twist on it? For sure.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like you tend to begin with characters and sort of build the plot around them.
It's
more plot and add the characters in.
So it's a funny thing happens when I write characters. So they always start as like a blank space for me, right? They start as like Jeff and Sally. It's just like a placeholder name. It means nothing. Like, but like what I've discovered is like I often kind of secretly know who they are. And it's like uncovering them, like figuring out kind of who they are as I go along, right? So like I'm amazed like when because I write a draft and I just blow through the draft. Like I don't really try to edit too much or anything like that. But when I go back, I'm like, there were things there at the beginning that I knew were like this character. So like it's I would say that my books are character driven. Like I sort of have an overarching like view of where the plot is probably going to head and things like that, but I definitely like to sort of know the trajectory of it, but then really like let the characters just unfold in whatever world. And sometimes it ends up in a slightly different place than where I thought it was going to go and all that kind of stuff. But it's like I think if you're writing really plausible characters, like the action unfolds in a very like nice natural way, right? Like this is something somebody would actually do, or this is something this specific character would actually do. And so that's kind of how my books unfold. And I have a few plot points, a few like kind of fun cool images that I want to work in, but that's really like
I think it's amazing that you can do that, because my brain works a very different way.
Teach me.
Mapped out, and I have to know each like beat that I want to hit in each point of view, and like I'm very aware of like their character arc growth. But if I don't do all of that beforehand, the characters just stare at me and go like, "So we have problems. What are we doing now? Like, help us. What are we doing?"
So do you spend a lot of time then building the characters, like thinking about their psychologies and stuff in advance, or do you?
Absolutely. Yes, I do. Like what false beliefs do they have? What do they need to learn from this experience in the story? Where are they coming from? What happened in their past that made them this way, and how are they going to overcome it? How would they handle this situation? And like I have to really get into their heads, because there's been a few times when I've written something and I stop and go, you know what? They would never have let this happen. They would never have let this progress so far. They would never.
It just feels so wrong. Like I actually felt like the manuscript that I was working on this summer, like I felt like sick to my stomach with these certain scenes. I'm like, it's so wrong. Like it felt like a visceral reaction to like just when you've got it, and you definitely know when you don't.
When you read it, you're like, that's just not right. That isn't right. No, like you can turn that sometimes and have the character be all pissed off that they were
Yeah,
forced into that decision.
fair point. Yeah.
Or that upset into there. But yeah, there have been times when I've had to hack off a few thousand words and be like, they would never have agreed to that.
I went
No.
down the wrong road. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one scene where I really wanted these two characters to fight, sort of a Batman
Okay.
versus Superman fight, where two
Ooh,
good
fun.
guys are going at it. And I thought
Yeah.
that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And man, did I keep trying to force them into this situation. We're like, can't we just talk this out? Like, they really didn't want to fight. They're like, no, we would never fight. We like each other too much. And like, I was like, yeah, they would talk this out. This is kind of a letdown. So I have
On
to
that
figure
note, the
out.
whole like Iron Man versus Captain America thing, I never bought it. I was like,
Yeah, it felt.
that's just. They
Yeah,
got big egos, but like it's just
it
not.
felt a bit forced for sure. And I understand that like they had a lot of feelings, but like it was a bit of, yeah, sometimes the characters get stretched or forced into a situation and no one's really all that happy about it. Um, and most of the time the readers are like, can you just kiss and make up already? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel that a lot where I do spend a lot of time getting to know the characters and having to pull back a little bit and redo a scene because it wasn't true to them.
Interesting.
And when I do that, like if I don't pull back, I get writer's block. I cannot
Yeah.
proceed. They stop
Your
talking to
unconscious
me
like shuts you
until I
down.
can sit. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing this. So that's one of my cues that I've gone the wrong direction and need to pull back and
Interesting.
like explore a little bit more
Yeah.
for this plot point.
Love it. Rings true. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I believe you.
Thank you. Yeah. So let's see. Switching tack this a little bit. What's something you learned from the writing process? Something about publishing or writing that you didn't know when you started out?
Let's see. Well, I mean, one big thing is you just have no idea how much editing is involved. So like my process, like, okay, so I talked about like the magic of like 3 months, my little writing, and I did my book and I have my manuscript, right? So I set it aside for 6. This is all Stephen King method. Like you could just read his book and I could like cut this part out. but I set it aside for 6 weeks. I edited I edited it once through myself, and then I got a number of like very generous beta readers to like have a look at it. I incorporated all their feedback, and then I went to like the publisher and I incorporated his feedback, and then like another like final kind of round, a final layer. So there were 4 edits that went unfolded over like 2 years. Like the manuscript was done in 2023 and it came out this summer. So I think that's one thing. I mean, I think that the other thing that I've sort of been understanding more about it is like just the idea of like the muse. Like, so for me, when I write, I have often start with something very visual, like an image or like something like that's like a place or like, I don't know, just some like object or something like that that's really like super clear in my head. But like to get to the process of like making that into a thing in writing is like there's something just so, I don't know, like mystical, like magical that happens there, at least in my experience. Like and it is almost like if you think of like a muse image, like something just kind of whispering in my ear, like that's it or that's not it, or like there's just this like gentle kind of guidance, it feels like, or something like that. And maybe it's just some part of my other part of my brain that's being, I don't know what it is, but like I think that surprised me. Like and there's this like moments of just like incredible reward too, like where it just super clicks and you're like,
It comes to
how did that come out of me? Like how did that actually happen? Like all these pieces suddenly like snap into focus and you crank out this beautiful like passage or something like that. Yeah, so that, I don't know, there's this sort of like mystical element of writing that I know that people have talked about it forever, I've heard about it forever, but like I felt it more writing the last sort of few manuscripts than I've ever felt like before. So yeah.
It's a good feeling to read your own writing and go, you know what, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I wrote this and I'm entertained.
Yeah. I can actually read it, not cringe.
When it all comes together is just the best feeling.
For sure.
all those little bits of foreshadowing. You're like, oh man, it's almost like I planned it.
Right? And then you get to revise it, and then it's like, now it is planned. Like,
Now it is planned.
there's a
Yes.
funny part of it, yeah, where it's like the themes are like there, kind of nested in,
Mhm.
and then like you tease them out a little more, tease them out a little more, and then it's like got this like kind of control at the end where you've like, it seems like it was all planned out from the start.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about how people are like, you must be so smart to write a book. And I'm like, I mean, like my characters are way smarter than I am.
Yeah.
I have months to sit and think about what they're going to do or say, and they have
Yeah.
to think about it in the moment. So like it really people don't really understand how long it takes to write these and
Yeah.
edit and revise and go back and forth. And yeah, it takes a very long time. This is not usually a fast business.
No. No, yeah, no, I found that very much the case with, I had like, hyper intelligent AIs in this book, and like
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know what this thing would think, but like I can sort of trace it out, like, okay, so like one of the features of this AI is that it can think like 1,000 steps ahead of like a human being, right? So, like when I used to play chess against my little brother,
Mhm.
he was way, way better at chess than me. Like it was obscene. Like he would just destroy me every time. And he's like, "You're not thinking any moves ahead." Like I was like trying, but I could think like one or two moves ahead. And like he was like, it was 6 moves or more ahead, right? So like imagine something that's like 1,000 moves or 10,000 moves. It's like, it's just absolutely like, it could be like, well, there's a scene like where he hears a song, like he's doing a piece of work and he's kind of working away, and the AI kind of whispers in his ear, like it's kind of embedded in their heads in this,
Mhm.
but whispers in his ear like, um, would you like me to play a little music for you? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? And he like keeps working. It's like, this music is just the best thing he's ever heard. And then all of a sudden, like he realizes like there was an incident when he was a kid and he was driving the car with his dad, and the dad heard this song on the radio that was like the best song, but they could never find out what the actual name of this song was. And so like this is the song that plays to him years later when he's like working away at this piece of work, and it's like and it's like, it's not clear, like, did it know just who he is? Did it like somehow dig through his memories? Like, how did this actually happen, and how did it happen so many years later at like the perfect moment? Was it saving it for like a moment when it was going to be extra productive at work? Like, so like for me,
Mhm.
like I can't think like that at all. Like it's like I can imagine something that can think like
Mhm.
that, which is such a funny, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, genius characters are so tricky, but so much
Yeah.
especially the super genius villains.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a chess player, absolutely agreeing with your brother. You do see several steps. You see all the different, like,
Yeah.
possibilities
Yeah.
and force your opponent into the to doing what you want them to do.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
And that was,
yeah, no, yeah, my villain is the fun guy of like, "Oh, hey, I'll put you in a situation, and if you win, that's fine, it serves me, and if you lose, that's fine, it serves me either way."
oh, I like
So,
that.
it's a lot of fun to work with, and, yeah, no, I'm working on the 4th book, of this
Okay.
series, and
Yeah.
I'm in a bit of a corner because my bad guy was just really efficient. Like,
Oh no.
yes, so they're looking at me like, "So how are we gonna get out of this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, guys, he got you pretty good, we'll figure it out eventually."
There was like, I think it was the book. There's a book about writing movie scripts called Save the Cat,
Save the
and
cat,
it's
it
it's
comes up a
super well known.
lot.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's one of the most famous. But like it says like when you're in that moment, like hit your characters with a bus. So bus probably isn't quite the right thing to hit them with, but like basically throw in a super random element that like somehow
Yes.
kicks them out of
Something that
their
no one
kicks
saw
them out of
coming.
whatever stasis they're in. But that's
Mhm.
fascinating. So you're in a corner. Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I'll figure it out eventually, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
of
But
course you
yeah,
will.
Save the Cat comes up a lot
Oh
of,
yeah, I
like,
bet.
books that are just wonderful for new authors to read,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
old authors, you're always continually learning for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Speaking of older authors, do you have a favorite author, and what is something that they do well?
Okay, yeah. I have a bunch of favorite authors, but if I had to really pick one, I would say it's actually Malcolm Lowry. So he wrote one of the most kind of famous novels of the 20th century called Under the Volcano, and but he was he's like one of these modernist writers writing in the, you know, the 40s and 50s, and like just it's so convoluted and complex in a way, but there's something about the thought process of his characters where I'm like, you're me. Like, this is
Mhm.
amazing how just how you, I don't know, like how you can tease out so many nuances from a situation and like have retain this sort of like sensitivity, but like have this like you know, kind of like stuck in a cynical world. Like there's just something that like unlocks me when I read his stuff, and I can't read it all the time because it's like it's convoluted, like it's really brainy stuff that like I'm not often in the mood for, especially with,
Yeah.
you know, little kids, like, but
I
like
know. At
when I
the end
come
of
back
the
to it.
day, you just want to like, unplug,
Yeah,
rather,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Oh man.
Some books are like thick and tough, and you have to chew on them and digest them, and they're thick.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just want something a little fluffier.
yeah. But I think with Malcolm Lowry, one of the things is just I
Mhm.
learn something every single time I read it. I read it at different times in my life. Like there's a few of his books I just love, but like I'll read them at different times, and suddenly like some new element will unlock. So like I'm sure now if I reread, you know, Under the Volcano, like I've just gone through this artistic process and, you know, publication, and that was his big one, and he suffered after that. Like he never wrote a book that good, and he knew it, and all the critics said it, and it was like kind of painful, but like yeah, it was a glimmering, dazzling moment that like immortalized him in this amazing way. So I don't know. Yeah,
Thank you. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
He suffered. I mean, he was an alcoholic, as many
Yeah.
writers were back then, and like he I don't know, he saw the world changing. Like he saw the world like getting sort of like, you know, more and more kind of consumerism and this sort of like soulless drive of like just humanity be kind of drained out and like replaced with like almost a sort of machinery or something like that, and he felt it all, and he's like an incredibly sensitive person. So like he it's just when he talks about it, like you can feel the pain that he's like going through as he's seeing this happening, and like and this desire for optimism, and sometimes he can get there, and a lot of the time he can't, even though he continues to try to the bitter end. And like yeah, it's just I don't know. So he's kind of a tortured artist, you know, and maybe that's what I, you know, dig.
Well,
I like
it's
otherwise Hemingway, like Douglas
mhm,
Copeland, who's like wrote Generation X in the 90s there. Like those are a couple of my other like
mhm,
ones that I
mhm,
go to again and again. But yeah.
mhm. Well, I think it does something within you when you read those words, and you're, again, you said it like you understand. You're
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. I'm not alone for this. I'm
Yes,
not the
makes you
only
feel
one who's
sane, right? And that's what he's trying to do. Like, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
You're like, this
yeah,
author gets it. They understand. You feel like if you met them, you'd be really good friends, and
yeah, yeah. And I
yes.
hope that I like my writing can be that for somebody. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I know like I've had very positive responses from people on it, but like it's, you know, I want that's why I'm kind of doing it. Like it's
Absolutely.
feel like not insane in a sometimes crazy world, you know.
I
Yeah.
feel like, money aside, that's
Yeah.
not most of our motivations. We just want people to enjoy our stories
Yeah. 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 For sure.
much as we've enjoyed other people's stories.
Absolutely. Very true.
Yes. All right. So you have two kids. How do you make time for writing?
I squeeze it in between things. So, so I, you know, I have my day job, so I'll work till usually 4:30. I get to work from home a fair bit of the time, which is nice.
Mhm.
So that gives me like a, you know, the commute window is like not to be underestimated, like especially when every hour counts. But so I
Mhm.
usually write a bit like after work and sort of before the kids are in bed, and you know, dinner's in there somewhere. Um, and then I'll write after they go to bed. And then like once or twice I've had like retreats, like full on, like, so I do travel a bit for work. So I get to like write in hotel rooms, which I just love the blankness of that. Like there's
It's so
no
quiet.
distractions. Yeah. Yeah. And then like the craziest thing, like, so, my super awesome wife sent me off to France
Mhm.
to write this summer. So that was just, it's like a kind of once in a lifetime thing. But like I wrote for a week in Montpellier, France, and like started the book that I wrote over the rest of the summer. But like that's my dream. That's I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if I make it like huge and, you know, sell like 10 million books or something like that, like we get to move there. And she's like,
Yes.
yeah, we do. Like, she's in. So like I just gotta, you know, sell the books
Mhm.
now.
Yes, that's definitely the dream, is to have a comfortable place to write next to a window with a beautiful
Definitely.
view.
Yeah.
And maybe a, croissant would be nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A little treat.
Yeah.
Yes, that
But my
sounds
kids, like, one of the fun things I did with my kids actually is we did like a write-a-thon. So like
Mhm.
they've now been inspired to write their own novels, and which many of which have been abandoned. But like, so we'll get like a bunch of snacks and we'll lock ourselves in the basement and we'll do a write-a-thon and stuff like that. Just try to keep
That
it fun and
sounds
mix it up.
amazing.
Yeah.
See, I'm a homeschool mom, so I'm always looking for like new activities for them to do. I feel like some of my kids would love that, and others would be like, "Please let us free. This is awful."
Oh, the personalities are so different. It's always part of the fun.
They're definitely themselves for sure.
Yeah, love it.
Okay, so what's your favorite part of writing?
Oh, favorite part of writing. Um, so I guess I sort of talked about it a bit before, but I think it is the translation of like a vision into like something like concrete, like to feel
Mhm,
that feeling of it going from this, like I picture like almost like an energy field or something like that, and then it slowly like materializes into something that's like more kind of concrete or tangible.
mhm,
There's something about that, like, I don't know, you were talking, you mentioned just like money and like the sort of dream of writing, and like definitely I want to be like an international bestseller and get to quit my day job and like have a good job, but like anyway, like I want all that. But sometimes it becomes like distracting or disruptive for me in a way, because like
mhm,
actually the real thing that I want is just to write. Like I love it, I love it, I love it, and it's like, and I
mhm,
feel like something is missing in my life when I'm not doing it. And so like even like when I wasn't writing novels, I was journaling every day. Like I have to be putting pen to paper or like little black dots onto screens, like
mhm.
whatever it is, like, but it's yeah, that, and I think that that's what it's like. I love just taking some vision or like these random sort of floating elements and like somehow like making them into something. There's something just in that process of like, yeah,
The
I would
joy.
say that that's it. But yeah, the money thing like disrupts. I'm like, oh, but I didn't sell enough books and now I don't get to live my dream, and like, and then it's like this funny like
Mhm. Well, it
interference in a
depends
way, like,
your why. It's
what's
your
that?
why. It's your
Yeah,
why. If you're
yeah,
holding on to the joy of creation,
yeah,
then you find joy in just the act, and that is
yeah,
enough, and that's where. But
it's
if you
true.
start doing the numbers game of how many books did I
Yeah,
sell? How many
yeah,
books do I have to sell to be happy? And how many
yeah,
books do I have to sell to keep doing this, to make it
yeah,
justify my time? How
yeah.
many books do I have to write? How many? When you start playing that numbers game, like the doubt creeps
Oh
in,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and you have that moving goalpost
yeah, yeah,
of,
yeah.
"Oh, I made it. I made this first milestone, but now I have more to do. Now I have more to do."
Yeah.
You can never quite win when you're playing that
No.
game.
No, no, no. And I fixated on it at various times when I'm sort of at my worst. I think I fixate on it. I was like, but then yeah, other times I'm like, when I'm actually just sitting there with my computer and typing away, like that's like the happiest time. It's just the best. So
Yes.
yeah.
Creation,
And
moving
that's
forward something
really what,
that
like,
didn't
I don't
exist
know.
before.
That's enough for my journey in life, and
Mhm,
everything else is cool, but not ultimately really why I'm doing it. So yeah.
mhm. Yes. Hoping that you leave behind something meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a
Wonderful.
big thing, like,
Yeah.
so in Canada where I am, like,
Mhm,
and I was probably the same thing in the States, but like if you're published by a Canadian publisher, like the National Library buys a copy of your book, right? And
mhm.
like that's amazing to me because like now like there's this record, like there's this thing that I wrote that sort of became part of like whatever, like this minuscule
Yes.
little part of
The
like
collection of
Canadian.
human works.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, absolutely. So
don't know
that's
if
kind
that
of,
makes sense.
that's,
Yes.
yeah, dizzying when I think about it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's your favorite part. What's your least favorite part of writing?
Oh, least favorite part. Well, I talked a little about, the like getting distracted by the wrong things, and that can definitely be something. I think that sometimes like life just gets chaotic. So like we have like we've got school and we've got jobs and we've got these things that sort of keep things going along, but like some months it feels like I've got to like fly here for a weekend or like do this other thing, or like there's meetings or like some extra like thing is happening with the kids clubs or whatever
Mhm.
it is, like, and it's just like I can't get down to it. And so like I think like there's that feeling like when it's like I'm sitting there and I can't actually, like, when I do manage to catch a free moment and life's feeling chaotic like that, that like my thoughts just can't actually focus in
Yes.
on it. Like that's a feeling for me.
The
So
muse just isn't singing for you that day. And
yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like, I don't want to be like too like precious about it, because I think you have to just write and write when it's good and write when it's bad. And like, I do karate, you mentioned in my bio, like
Mhm.
it's the same thing. Like some days I'm like super weak and I have no energy and I suck and it's terrible. And like other days, like I'm like, I feel really strong and like, capable, but like you work through the bad days and you keep but like
Yes.
sometimes it's just not even possible to have a bad day with writing. Like there's just no
Mhm.
space or time or anything. Like, and yeah, you're sort of being
Yes.
taunted by it. So yeah, maybe that.
Mhm. After hearing the wisdom of so many other authors, a mantra that I've adopted for myself is let it suck. I
Yeah.
sit down and I don't let perfectionism stop me from writing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
let my own self-criticism
Yeah.
stop me from writing. We've got to turn that blank page into some words, because you can edit. You can go
Definitely.
back. You can
Yeah.
fix it. You're getting closer and closer every time. Let it
Absolutely.
suck. Let it
Yeah.
suck. You can fix it later.
And the one I wrote this summer, it's like, it almost feels like a sketch. I'm like, I know this passage is terrible, but like, it's the right things that sort of
Oh, yeah.
blocking things in or something like that. And then like, yeah, I know I'm going to go back and like, I'll be
Mhm.
surprised because there will be things that actually work really well. But like, I know that there's also like things where I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, just keep going. This is like a
Yes.
weird idea. It's complicated. Like, it's
Mhm.
not going to just be perfect like on the first
Mhm.
draft. So yeah.
Writing is very much like art, where you start
Yeah.
with sketches of ideas and you
Yeah.
fill it in and you add color and you add things as you go with every single pass that you go through
Definitely.
this manuscript. So
Definitely.
yeah, let it be a sketch.
Right. Yeah.
You're creating.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what would you say has been your most significant writing victory so far?
Uh, okay, so I would, let's see, that's a good question.
Mhm.
I think the fact that I found a process to write books, like I found something that works and I can do this till the day I die. Like this process work. It's only going to get easier. Like my kids are going to be, they're like verging on
Mhm.
teenagers. They're going to be out more and doing other stuff. And like, but like, yeah, like it was for years. Like I had written a couple, the self-published ones, and then I had kids, and like I really didn't write anything, between say 2016 and 2022 or something like that. Like it was just this dead spot in there where I couldn't, and I was almost like, I suppose I was like praying or asking the universe or something to like give me like a process, like give me something that will actually work for me. And
Mhm.
then like it came in the form of that book. Like I have another friend, she's a
Yes.
writer, and like Stephen King's
There's
book.
Stephen
She's like,
King.
have you
Here
read
you
this?
go.
And I was like, I look at it and I was like,
Yes.
there it is. And like the sunbeams shine down. Like, I was like, that's it. Like that's the thing I've been looking for. And then I've been able to, yeah, I wrote like in the last since 2023, like I've written 4 books, in that stretch of time. Like it's like prolific. I haven't published, 3 of them, but like it's
But
coming
they
along.
exist.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
exist, and you can
exactly,
do something with that. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I would say that.
Yes. Don't discount your own achievements. They exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. I
Getting
love
back into it after like the pause.
that. Mhm. All right. So you've been giving a lot of writing advice that works for you. Do you
Mm.
have any writing advice you've been given that you just like absolutely hate, does not work for you?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
have to think about it for a minute.
That's fine.
Okay, so I think generally speaking, sometimes there's a confusion that an individual's process is gonna like work for everybody. So like that bugs me sometimes when they're like, "This is how you write a book." It's like, no, that's how you write a book. Like, and so like
Yes.
that kind of like irks me a bit. Like when people maybe they've been successful, and because it's usually those
Mhm.
are the people that you end up listening to anyway, and they say like this is the way to write a book, like this is the only thing, and they talk as if like we're not all unique individuals sometimes, or like that we not that everybody finds their own way to write a book, and like
Mhm.
and like the kind of flip side of that is like I read somewhere, I can't remember which writer, and sorry I can't give credit to the person, but like it's like you don't learn to write novels, you learn to write the novel that you're working on. Like I love that advice. So like, but the flip side of that I think is like when people overgeneralize their specific process. I can't give like a single specific piece of advice, but you know, it's ironic too that I say that because like it was like Stephen King's like stated process that ultimately kind of got me writing. So like, I don't know. Yeah. I think
I
just
get
there's
it.
a
Saying
certain
that
like confusion of
yeah.
like there's an element of luck, and it's there's definitely skill and talent and hard work and all these other things that go into success, but like there's also an element of luck in it, you know, and a lot of people who are being honest about it like will be pretty like pretty clear about that you know it's like that, but it's also like, you know, it was like the support of like one random person or something, and like I lucked into publishing. It was just a total fluke. And so like it was somebody I met through work. Like I work with engineers and I met my publisher through them. But so, you know, there's that bit there where where people like take themselves too seriously maybe and then feel like they know better than everybody else, which you know, people are smart. I love
Well,
listening to people, but yeah.
I like how you're saying it was luck, but also you met that publisher and had already written 2 books that would be
Yes.
published. You had already been developing your skills so that
Yeah,
when you met that person at the right time of your life, you were ready for it and your book got into their house, right?
definitely.
So,
Yeah.
like, it was a lot of like luck got you there, but also you were ready to be there.
That set myself up for it, I suppose. Yeah,
You
it's
set
no, it's
yourself
true.
up for luck.
You control
Yeah.
the part that you can control, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. That's
Yeah.
great.
And I've
Yeah.
definitely like I got, you know, a stack of rejection letters from my other self-published ones, you know, like I counted up to about 120. I was like, this book is clearly not going to like get the interest of like a publisher, but doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It was actually the publisher, the guy who published me, Ed Willett, who's from Shadowpaw
Mhm.
Press, and he read one of my old books. He's one of the very few people that read my self-published, you know, work from years ago, and he liked it. And that's how it happened. So there you go.
Right.
Exactly what you're saying. Like
Maybe he'll
let's
have
set up all the
some advice on how to revamp those, or
yeah.
I don't know if you're
Yeah.
interested in that.
Yeah.
How to rework those for the audience that he's looking to sell to, for sure.
Yeah. I think there's
Um,
just a marketing piece probably that was part of like a good chunk of it that was missing because it was all you know, self-published, self-designed. Like I kerned the fonts in the book. Like it was really specific, like right down to the nuts and bolts of putting on a
mhm.
book. So I didn't have a lot of energy for the
Yeah.
marketing promotion side. So yeah.
Oh, it's hard doing it all yourself. It
Yeah.
really is. This
No
is
kidding.
not a game for the weak.
No. Nope.
Yeah, but absolutely no one way of writing works for like all people, for
Yeah.
sure. And I've
Yeah.
remarked on it before in past episodes where like we kind of learn writing in high school and
Yeah.
the teachers say, okay, do it this way. And I want to
Yeah.
see you do it this way. And you're going to, if you don't do it this way, you get a bad grade. So
Then
I
you're a bad writer,
see
right?
people do that and they hate it and they're like, well, I'm not good at writing.
Yeah.
And then later on you learn, oh, I can do it my own way. I don't have to
Yeah.
do it this way. I can forge my own path. Yeah.
So like Leonard Cohen, I think he published his first.
Mhm.
He's a Canadian poet. I don't know, like I think he's fairly well known. But anyway, published his first book of poetry. He was 23 years old, right? And it's like I was always amazed. I set that as a sort of like bar for myself. Well, if I haven't published by 23, like,
Mhm.
but it's like I really happy that I came to it when I was more mature, when I was older, like,
Mhm.
and came back to it again because like I have so much insight into the world. Like I've had to be like, you know, in my job, like I have to be super productive. I have to do all these things. I have to make projects go from like a pie in the sky idea into like something really specific that's in the world. You know, there's all these skills and just experience that you build. And so like, yeah, I couldn't have just taken like the high school advice, like write a, you know,
Mhm.
it was just like the outline and the yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of us come into this game a little later in life, but I feel like we needed to go through that journey before we were ready.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to show us your book cover a little bit and
Sure,
tell
yeah.
people where they can learn more about you and more about your book?
Yeah, so that is the book cover. Let's see if I pull it back. Yeah, there we go.
Mhm.
Is it reversed? It looks reversed on my screen, but it's good.
It's good on, yeah.
Facing the right way. Okay. Yeah. So, uh, I don't know what can I say. Okay, so it's basically in the U.S., which you're in the States, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So in the US, it's just available through all major booksellers. Amazon and Barnes and Noble would probably be the most likely place, and it can be ordered in anywhere. For if anybody's watching from Canada, across the country, Indigo, Amazon, and a lot of independent booksellers picked it up as well. So some of the science fiction shops and stuff across Canada have it now. So and I think if you type in cyberpunk and Gods of a New World, you'll be able to find it there. But
yeah. And then are you on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook? Do you have
so I actually am most active on Blue Sky. So I find that it's a very good like sort of writing and reading community on there. So like I've met a lot of people on there. So that's one place. I do also keep a Facebook page, and I have an Instagram page, and it's just at Ryan Melsom. If you search in Ryan Melsom, you'll be able to find it anywhere there. So
easy to find. All right.
Yeah. One hopes.
Well, Ryan, it's been so wonderful getting to know you. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Kirsten. Yeah.
And thank you for everyone listening at home. And remember, there's more than one way up a mountain. To be on our show, find us at The Tell Not Show or email us at thetellnotshow@gmail.com. Thanks so much.